Now we're going to look at more examples of signed numbers. Remember that we have the order of operations: please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. P means parenthesis, E means exponent, M multiplication, D division, A addition, and S subtraction. So in the previous examples, we did not have any exponent, but in this example, we have exponent. First of all, I want to clarify two symbols, -4 squared and negative 2/5 squared. Notice the difference. This minus sign is included in the parentheses, but this minus sign is not included in the parentheses. Are they the same or are they different? They are different. So here I want to go over the exponent a little bit. So if you have, let's say, 5 squared, what it means is you multiply 2 copies of 5. So 2 here, exponent means 2 copies. And exponent means multiplication, so you're going to multiply 2 copies of 5. 5 times 5 is 25. But when you have negative numbers, they're -5. When you want to square it, there are two possibilities. You may only want to square the number 5. You don't want to square the sign in front of it. So in that, but the other case is you may want to square both 5 and a negative sign. So to tell the difference, we mathematicians decided that if you don't put parentheses there, it means the former. So which means this 2, you only square 5. You're not going to square the minus sign in front of it. But if you do want to square both 5 and the sign in front of it, you're going to have to use parentheses. Put them in the parentheses. When you have parentheses, it means you're going to square both. Take 2 copies of both. So let's see the difference. Again, if you don't have parentheses, this minus sign will stay. You're not going to do 2 copies because it's given in the problem. You of course have to keep it. But this 2 copies means you multiply 2 copies only the number 5. You're not going to take 2 copies of minus sign, so you only have a single copy of minus sign. And we know 5 times 5 is 25, so the final answer is -25. But in the second case, because the minus sign is in the parentheses, which means when you do the square, the 2 copies, you have to do 2 copies of both. So you take 2 copies of whatever in the parentheses, 1 copy and 2 copies. And negative times negative is positive 25. So the answer will be opposite of each other. Okay, so let's go back to do this question now. So first of all, notice that this minus sign is included in the parentheses. So that means you have to do 2 copies of -4. The minus sign also have 2 copies. And the next part, there's no signs here because of parentheses. It means multiplication. Now when we do this, again, there are 2 ways. We're going to do the quick way. So we multiply -4 times -3. That gives us a positive 12. And this plus sign is you can think of them as coming from negative times negative is positive, or you can insert a little plus sign in front of it, because this sign means minus, but minus is like plus the opposite. Okay, and times of 5. I'm going to slow down and to do that in the next step. And 2 squared means 2 times 2. Now -4 times -4 give us a positive 16. And 12 times 5 is positive 60, and 2 times 2 is 4. So if you're familiar with this process, the definition of exponents, and you can skip the step. So you may skip the step right here. You can do this in your head. -4 times -4 is positive 16. -4 times -3 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. 2 squared is 2 times 2, 4. So now you can add all of these to get 80. On the second example, in this case, notice that minus sign is not included in the parentheses. We're going to have to keep the minus sign here, only do 2 copies of 2/5. So we have 2/5 times 2/5. And next, for the next multiplication, 4 times that, because 4 is a whole number, I'm going to put 4/1 to change it to fraction. And next, we're gonna multiply these two fractions, keeping the minus sign. Multiply straight across. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 5 is 25. And here we also multiply straight across, because we don't have anything to reduce. Get 8 over 5. Minus 3, I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 under there to change it to a fraction, so we can equal the denominators. And notice when we add or subtract fractions, we have to find the least common denominator. In this case, 25 and 5 and 1. The least common denominator is 25. And we equal the denominator. We change all the denominators to 25. The first one is already 25. We don't have to do anything. The second fraction, in order to change 5 to 25, we multiply the bottom by 5. So we also have to multiply the top by 5 in order to keep the equivalent fraction. Now, similarly, in order to get 25, we need to multiply both the top and bottom by 25. So now we have a common denominator, 25. Let's add the numerators. For this, since I just keep the denominator as a positive number, that minus sign will go with 4. So we get negative 4 plus 8 times 5 is 40, and minus 3 times 25 is 75. Now we add and subtract these numbers. Negative 4 plus 40 is positive 36, and 36 minus, let's slow down, and again, to do that, you can insert a plus sign here. It's like more debt than credit, so it's going to be negative. 75 minus 36 will give us 39 over 25. And that minus sign can be moved in front of the fraction, because a negative divided by positive is negative. And 39 and 25, they don't have any common factors, so we cannot reduce it any further. So just a side note here, when we have a fraction, the minus sign can be moved up or down, as in this case here. Again, the minus sign can be put on top, but you can also move it in front of the entire fraction, because negative divided by positive is negative. You can also move the minus sign to the bottom to get negative 25 and top as a positive 39. And because positive divided by negative will still give us a negative 39 over 25. So that minus sign in front of the fraction can be moved either to the top or to the bottom. But of course, you cannot distribute the minus sign to both top and bottom. You can only have one of them. Because if you have two minuses, negative divided by negative will become positive.